All right, welcome everyone. This is Teresa Omart. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing here at Terwilliger Plaza. It is December 15th, 2021, and we are here today with our guest, Phyllis Peabody from Soft Landings Solutions for Seniors. We've got a few more people joining us, but since it is 10:32, we'll go ahead and get started. And Bob, our CEO, is joining us today, and I'm going to have him welcome everyone.
Hello, everybody. I do want to give a big welcome to all here. It's really great to have you. The first thing I'm going to do is to share a little view of the construction site. Hopefully you can see that. Again, more exciting stuff happening there every day. Just tremendous activity out there. It's just so much fun for us and for our existing residents to see what's going on. Yesterday, I don't know if you can see my pointer, but yesterday they poured this quadrant up in and that's the northeast quadrant there up in the upper part of the picture. And then this little space where there's black tarp over there, that's the end of the driveway for the parking ramp coming up from the third level of the parking ramp up to the second. So they did that yesterday, and then they're prepping the final quadrant, and that'll be poured probably in a couple weeks. And of course, the more rain we get, the more challenging that stuff is. But we're really excited to see the progress and excited to have all of you here with us today. So I am going to stop sharing and turn it back to Teresa. Welcome, everybody.
Perfect. Thank you, Bob. And if you can see Bob's background, that's a beautiful view from our rooftop. I can't remember when that was taken, but anyway, it's a gorgeous view.
That was taken in November a year ago, November of 2020, I believe.
Nice.
With an iPhone.
Let's see. So again, welcome everyone. We still have a few people joining, but we will move along. So many of you have attended a Zoom of ours before. If you haven't, we do have the chat box down at the bottom. Please feel free to put any questions or comments in there. We will have a nice, pretty good length question and answer period after Phyllis finishes her presentation. So also just so for all of you know, Bob did just show the construction site. Some of you may be thinking, what is this construction site? That is our newest building called Parkview. It will have 127 independent living homes, and it will open in about August of 2023. I see probably 5 to 7 people on the call who are Parkview members. Those are people who have already selected their home in Parkview and put a deposit down. So right now we are just over halfway full in Parkview. So keep that in mind if you have an interest and want to chat. No pressure, but we do have sales are definitely moving along. We also have, for those of you who would prefer our other buildings or might need to move sooner than August 2023, we do have homes in the Tower and the Heights open now. So if you're interested in talking, please reach out to myself, Jess, or Jojo, which, by the way, Jess and Jojo, if you want to give a wave, most of you have talked to one of us. So again, welcome. So today, like I said, Phyllis Peabody is here joining us from Soft Landing Solutions for Seniors. And we've asked her to join us. She and Soft Landings is one of many move managers that we have worked with over the years. I have to say Soft Landings is one of our favorites, but we encourage you to consider a move manager. Many of the people we work with, you know, just the sheer thought of moving and having to, you know, get rid of belongings and move out of a home that you've lived in for many years, it can be debilitating, so much so that people just stop dead in their tracks. They just can't get past it. So Phyllis will talk a little bit about that, and just so you know, that is very common. But if you can use a move manager and choose that route, trust me, they can make it so much easier and so much less stressful. So that's part of what we'll learn about today. So Phyllis, in 2014, she switched careers. She had been a commercial interior designer for 30 years. And in 2014, she, due to her passion for seniors, moved into this senior retirement community living industry. And then in 2018, she actually became a certified senior advisor, a CSA. So she is joining us. She did join Soft Landings recently, and with this new role she has, it allows her to fulfill her passion for working with seniors and just helping them make these transitions fun, and bringing some laughter and joy into it, and just taking the stress out of it, because it can get to you. So with that, I want to welcome Phyllis Peabody. And again, make sure you put questions in the chat or any other concerns.
And are we ready to share screen?
We are. Welcome, Phyllis.
Okay. There we go then, right? Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. I am thrilled to be here, and thank you, Teresa, for inviting me to talk to all the people that are interested in Terwilliger. And you can see there is a beautiful picture of Terwilliger for those of you who have maybe not been there for a while. I want to start off by letting you know a little bit about Soft Landings. Soft Landings started in 2012. Teresa Pritchett is the founder of our company. And it started out because Grandma in Alabama needed to have her homestead downsized because she was starting to have issues going up and down the stairs. And when Grandma called her, she said, "You're the only one that can do this. You're the only one I can trust," because at that time, Teresa was a wealth manager for a CPA firm. And so Grandma trusted her with all of her finances. So Teresa went out for 3 weeks and she began to help Grandma downsize. When she got all done with it, and it took 3 weeks for her to actually do this all by herself, her grandmother looked at her and said, "You know, Teresa, you ought to do that for a living. You're really good at this." What Teresa found was there weren't very many people that she dealt with in Alabama that she really felt if Grandma were doing it by herself, she could trust them. So on the plane, she started thinking, could you do this as a business? Is there a way to actually make this happen? So she started researching and she found NASM. NASM stands for National Association of Move Managers. And so she began to deal with them, talk to them, and she found out she could be certified by them. Now, NASM is a national certification organization. And so we are certified with actually the double, it's an A++ certification. And in the Pacific Northwest, we are one of only 2. So we take that very seriously because there are a lot of people out there that can help you move, but they haven't gone through the training. And you'll see what I'm talking about as we move forward. This is a slide on COVID-19, and of course the pandemic is ever changing, but all of Soft Landings and all of our suppliers and those that we use that we have vetted all meet federal and state regulations. So if we're going into your home, you're going to feel comfortable that we are doing what is required to keep you safe in your home. So, right sizing made simple. Ready, set, downsize. You know what? A lot of people go, stop. And Teresa has already kind of mentioned that. So I want to kind of talk about why people feel that way and what can help them get out of that. So I love this quote by Joel Osteen. The reason the windshield is so large and the rear view mirror is so small is because what's going to happen in your past is not nearly as important as what's going to happen in your future. You have had many, many years to figure out, you know, you just kind of journey through that part of life. And honestly, in America and most of the world, it wasn't a planned thing. It wasn't something that you said, oh, I'm going to go here and then I'm going to do this. When you get to be a senior, nobody talks about what that journey looks like. And so goals for the journey kind of become nebulous. And so today what I want to do is help educate on some ways and some things that you can do in your home right now, that if you're moving tomorrow or you're moving in 5 years, you can still do these to get ready. You don't have to wait till 1 week or 1 month before you actually move. So here are some things that you can do to overcome the emotions of downsizing and moving. One is take pictures. If you have artwork, if you have things in your homes, items in your home that mean a lot. You went to Europe and you bought this beautiful statue and you love that statue and it gives you joy. Take a picture of it, because when you move from a 35 or larger into a 1200 or smaller, you may not be able to take all your collections with you. So I want to tell you a story about this. We had a gentleman who was 89 years old. He had been golfing since he was 12. His father was a huge golf addict and he took him all over the world to do golfing. And at every golf course or tournament that he went to, he collected a ball, had the logo on it, and he wrote the date. Well, when we showed up and we saw an 8x10 wall with little 2-inch shelves full of golf balls, we're like, whoa, because we knew he couldn't take them with him. His wife was adamant, you are not taking that stuff. Every time I slam the door, a ball falls. Every time I vacuum, a ball falls. So we started asking him questions. And what we ended up doing is we said, where are your first? Where's the first golf ball that you got to hit in Scotland? Where's the first golf ball that you got from Arnold Palmer? Where's the first? Where's the first? And we took 5 of those and we put them in a glass case. But then we went one step farther. We took his very most favorite and we had a photographer come in and take a picture of that, and we made a poster and framed it. So when he moved into his forever home, he not only had those 5 golf balls that he could touch and feel, but he could look at the poster and the memory was still there. And where the golf balls went, well, our team took care of it. The next thing you can do is tell the story. There are many ways that you can tell the story about the things that you love. And we recommend that you get it down in writing or in a pictorial form. The third way is research for beneficiaries. Now, this is where Soft Landings as move managers can help you. We can help you find resources and homes for those things that are beloved to you. Homes that you feel like, okay, somebody else is going to enjoy this with us. It can be family, it can be friends. We can put you in a resource with like Sotheby's or Oak Gallery or an estate sale person, but you're going to feel good about where those things are going to be. And so the angst of the loss isn't going to be there. Now, this angst of loss that I'm talking about, it's a real deal. It actually is a medical, has a medical term called relocation stress syndrome or transfer trauma. Here's how you know that this is happening. And this can absolutely stop you in your tracks. You know you want to go to your forever home. You know that the house is too big. You know that there's stairs that you can't even go up anymore. But you are just absolutely stopped in your tracks. And even though emotionally you want to, your feet don't move. Here's how you can tell. You feel tired when you think about it. You feel anxious when you think about it. You understand why you need to, but you just can't. You have people around you, but you still feel lonely. You find yourself sighing and feeling depressed. You feel apprehensive and even moving forward. In 1992, North American Nursing Diagnosis Association identified this as a real official diagnosis. So if you're feeling this way, there are a couple of things you can do. One is talk to your doctor and let them know how you're feeling. The second is when a move management company like Soft Landings comes in, start talking to them about your goals, about the fun things that you want to do. And we will start to create a plan. So this becomes minimal. Some of you are list makers, and you make lists on top of lists on top of lists. Teresa, do we have any hands out there? Raise your hand if you're a list maker. Ah, I see JoJo is.
Yeah, we have several hands actually,
Okay,
including mine.
including yours, huh? Well, here's the good news. When you are working with a move manager, you make the list and we take the task and we make it happen. So what you get to do is cross it off. Oh, we talked about this, done, cross it off. And you know what? You didn't have to do it. We have supported you in your goals and your wishes to make things move forward. When we start helping you with a plan, we have a deadline date. So we all know, when does that need to be done? We work with Teresa and JoJo and Jessica on when are they moving in? That's another deadline date. It could be a month, it could be 2 years, it could be 5 years. But there are things you can do now that you can start crossing off your list. When we get to the place where we have decluttered, now that's a word I haven't used much yet, but decluttering is what you can do now. And when you start to declutter and you start thinking about the home you're going to be moving into, you start thinking about that space. When we declutter and get rid of all the things that no longer bring you joy, maybe don't fit, we found homes for those things. You start looking at your existing furniture, accessories, artwork, the things that you love, the things that you're going to keep with you, and we can lay them into a floor plan. So now you can visually see, oh, I'm looking at my sofa. My sofa is going to go here. This is going to be my view. Oh, this is my kitchen. Okay, I can't maybe take that big pot, but I can do this. When we come in to do a space plan, we take pictures of everything in your home so that when you move into your forever home, we have a picture of what it used to look like. And you've got to make the decision of what the new home is going to look like. So when we start moving things in, you see a house that's familiar to you. And generally speaking, it takes about 3 hours, and that does depend on how big your house is. So what's on your bucket list? I am not talking about the bucket list when you get into Twilliger Plaza. You've already been downsized, and now you have all this free time. I'm not talking about that bucket list. I'm talking about the bucket list of decluttering. Decluttering, there are 4 to 5 things that you want to think about. 1, you want to think about those things that you're going to keep. The things that bring you joy. The things that when you look at it, that memory comes back to you as clear as if it was yesterday. You're going to look at the things that your family and friends have said to you. Oh, I love that. If you're ever going to get rid of that, would you call me first? Now, there is a caveat to this because many of us have antiques that our kids don't want. Well, what do you do with that? Well, that's the 3rd thing. We figure out, do we donate it? Do we resell it? Do we auction it? Do we sell it on eBay or some other electronic way? There are many ways to get rid of your valuables. And I want to just stop here for just a minute because I want to talk about how Soft Landings does that. Soft Landings, when they work with you, we have resources that we have vetted since 2013. And we have resources that are all over the United States, actually. So when you're deciding that you want to maybe get rid of some items, we have people that we can pair you up with. When we bring resources to you, we do not take any fees. We do not take a kickback. What we do, though, is we handle all the logistics. So let's say that we're working with Sotheby's. because you have some items that they're going to auction off. We will work with you in the logistics of who and how do we get those items to that auction house. You don't have to do that. We do that. You are aware all the way through, but the transaction is between you and them. The only thing that we do for you is the move management part and manage the logistics. I'm sure there'll be questions on that one. So let's talk about when we are downsizing and you're deciding what you want to keep, whether it is 30 days or again in 5 years, we start to declutter. And when we declutter, we recommend that you leave the sofa like you see on the slide. Don't put stuff on it. Leave it decluttered. That does two things. One is you get used to the furniture that you're going to live with when you move to your forever home. And two, you're living in a clean space that is safe and beautiful and free of clutter, which psychologically just makes you feel good. When we declutter, we always start in the garage first, because in the garage is where everything that doesn't have a home anymore inside the house gets relocated out there. Now, some people have storage units, they have attics, they have basements, but usually it's the garage that gets all the relocated items that nobody wants anymore in the house. So soft landings generally will start in your garage and help you find new homes, help you actually pack the items that you're going to keep. And we have a dot system, which I will talk about a little bit later in our slides, that will indicate these are staying with me, these are not going anywhere, these are going to go away. So we make it really easy for you to maintain what's staying and what's not staying. Anybody know who this group of people are? Teresa, you got any hands out there?
Not
Hey,
seeing-
Jojo.
Does Jojo know?
Yeah, you got to unmute yourself, Jojo.
The Griswolds.
Yes, the Griswolds.
Come on, guys.
Yeah,
Christmas vacation.
that's it. So, how many of you have family that are a Griswold family? They couldn't make a decision if they tried. They couldn't be likable if they tried. And if one person wanted it, another person would say they wanted it even if they didn't, just because they're a Griswold family. Well, Soft Landing Solutions has been trained, and we have trained our teams through NASM to understand this type of situation. So I had a question the other day where somebody asked me, so if I had a table and I wanted to send it to my daughter-in-law in New York, and she said she wanted it, but she wants me to mail it to her, what do I do? I don't know the first thing. And I said, oh, easy. I call her up. Jane, this is Phyllis Peabody from Soft Landing Solutions with Seniors, and we're helping your in-laws in downsizing their home. I understand you have some pieces that you would like, and they would like to give them to you. How would you like for us to get those to you? Would you like me to do it by air, or would you like me to do it by road and transfer them by truck to you? This gives them, and they all laughed. This gave them the understanding, though, that the logistics of helping with the family and how we go about doing that, we handle all the logistics. So that way you can stay to be the family that's cohesive, and we can be the bad guys if we have to be. But most of the times they're pretty pleasant because we try to do a win-win at all times. So how do I sell my things that I don't want to just throw away? So there are lots of ways. And as I mentioned earlier, Soft Landings Solutions for Seniors is all about solutions. So we look at the best way that we can sell it. We look at the best way that we can donate it. We look at the best way that we can keep the smallest amount of trash footprint that we can. Even when you're doing things online, unless you're someone that's been your market, that's been something you've done. If you don't have any understanding of how to do things on the market, we will help you do it. And we will, again, it goes between you. We'll help you do the logistics, but it's between you and whoever it is that you're selling it to. Donating it. There are a lot of people who like to donate, but because of COVID especially, we have a lot of organizations that aren't taking what they used to take. So we work with them on a pretty consistent basis, and we can find out what it is they will and they won't take. I have a beautiful story about a 82-year-old gentleman that when Teresa, who is our founder, walked into his 1,300 square foot house, he had books from the ceiling to the floor, from width to height to length. They were in bookcases, they were on the floor, and she's like, oh my gosh, you like books. He goes, yeah, I'm kind of a hoarder with books, but I read all the time. She's like, we're gonna probably have to find some other homes for these books. Yeah, I know. And she said, well, are any of these valuable? Yeah, I got some valuable ones. She goes, do you know where they're at? Yeah, no. Well, we have a bookseller that we called on his behalf and said, here's the deal. He's got some books that are first editions, some that are signed, but he has lots of books, and you need to take all of them except his 35 favorite. He gets to take 35 of his books. Guy came in, within 45 minutes, he found those jewels. He found the books that were the first editions. He found the books that were signed. And so when the date came, and the reason I keep saying Sutherland's is because we've done a lot of work with them. We got online, Teresa got online with him, and they watched the auction. When they auctioned off his books, he made more than enough to pay our fees and then some. He was ecstatic because they went to really good homes. But then when they started looking at the 35, Teresa suggested that he take 5 of his very favorites. And it just happened that the residence he was moving into had a library with a librarian. So he donated his other books to that library. He was thrilled. He wasn't thrilled because he got to donate. He was thrilled because there was a library and he could read other people's books. So we help in doing those kinds of solutions that are a win-win. Paper. How many of you have lived in your houses more than 60 years? Any hands, Teresa?
I do not see any as I'm clicking through.
How about 50 years?
Oh, I saw a hand. Yep.
Okay, we got somebody that's at least 50 years. How about 40 years? 40.
Yep. Definitely a few
Okay.
hands there.
How about 30?
Several more hands.
How about 20?
I'm scrolling through and I'm sure there's some hands up that I don't see.
So if you have lived in your house between 10 and 60 years, chances are you have a lot of paper. The paper that you have could be your children's grade school papers, could be your grandchildren's grade school papers. They could be old taxes that you only have to keep for 7 years. It could be a number of things. It could be magazines that you thought, oh, that's really cool. I'm going to do that to my house. Paper is one of the biggest issues in people's homes. So for paper, we work with a company that's called Pride, and they will actually come to your home and they will shred in front of you everything, every document that you would not want somebody else to have by accident. One of the things that Soft Landings does is we can actually help you start cleaning those out and sorting those papers so that you don't have to do it yourself. In everything that we do, we are the helping hand. So if we're cleaning out things, if we're cleaning out papers, if we're going through books, if we're looking at collections, you're going to give us the direction of what you want, of what your goal is, but we're going to be the helping hand that does the logistics to get it out of your home. Here is my favorite thing. And if we were in person, I would be handing each one of you one of those packets of dots. So let's talk about those dots. Red means stop. It is not going to stay in this house. It is going away. It is either trash, we're either disposing it, donating it, or we're selling it, but it is not staying here. It is not going to my forever home with me. Green, it is staying with me. It's going to go with me. Green for go. It means that it is going to follow me to my forever home and you can't have it. Kids can't have it. I've already decided it's going to my forever home. Yellow. Yellow means we're trashing it. What would you trash? You would trash like something that is soiled, something that is broken, something that you bought for somebody else and then they decided they didn't like it and they gave it back to you. And it has no meaning and no value. You might trash that. I will say though, that we work very hard to make our trash footprint very small. So we would prefer that as much as we possibly can to help you find new homes for these other items. The tape measure is when we're doing our space planning, we're measuring 3 times at least, so that when we put it on the space plan and you look at that space plan, and then the first day that you walk into your new forever home, it looks exactly the way you thought it would look. So that's what the tape measure is for. All right, now Teresa, you may have to ask some people to unmute, which is perfectly fine with me, because I'm going to ask the question, what does Ohio stand for? And it is not the state. Anybody have a guess?
I know.
See if anybody else has.
Oh,
a
here we
guess.
go. Kathy. She said it means only handle it once.
Yay! Yay! Give her a clap in the hand. You are exactly right. When we go into your home, we start with one room. Now, I already talked about the garage, so let's just assume that the garage is already decluttered, already cleaned out, and it is waiting for the boxes that are going to stay with you. We're decluttering, so we're not getting rid of those red dotted or those green dotted items. We have now put a green dot on the box in the garage because we know that's where it's going to go. So here's what we do. We start in, I'm going to say the den. And we start at one corner of the den and we go, keep it, and you say yes. Donate it, you say yes. And we start putting those items in those boxes that have the dot that goes. We only want to handle it once. And actually, if you're going to be really real about it, we handle it twice. Once the box is full, we take it to the garage. Because the one thing that we want to make sure of is you don't want boxes all over your house. It's not safe. So we want to put the boxes in an organized manner in your garage for your safety. So when should you start to declutter? Does anybody have a guess out there? Are there any hands?
Yesterday.
Yesterday or today?
Yesterday or today? It should be now. Now is when you want to start decluttering. Why?
Assuming that you've already sold your house. If you have not yet sold your house, you don't want dots everywhere.
Actually, if you've sold your house, if you're in the process of selling your house, we've probably already gone through the decluttering part and everything is probably where it needs to be. The green dot boxes would be put on the side so that it was neat. So people who are looking at your home could see your garage. There'd only be a few line of boxes there. Your furniture that you're keeping will be in your home, arranged and staged. That makes your home look its best. But those are the pieces that you're keeping. Everything else you should at that point have already disposed of in some way, shape, or form. Does that answer your question, Jim?
Yes.
Okay. But doing it now allows you to be able to be ready for that move. Be ready for, and it doesn't matter whether it's 30 days, 60 days, or 5 years. You know, sometimes you have things, businesses and different elements that are preventing you from moving right now. But if you can start moving those things, decluttering those things, getting ready for it, when you're ready, your realtor's ready, your home is ready at Twilliger, you're ready. So now is the best time to start this. So what is it that Soft Landings for Solution can offer you? We offer you a no charge, no obligation consultation the first time. What happens at this consultation? We have managers that are team leads that come into your home and start asking you questions about your goals. Do you know where you're going to go? They start walking through with your permission, going through your house with your permission. They will open up drawers and doors to see what all is there. They will ask you questions like, do you have any storage units that are off property? Do you have garage? Is your garage filled with things? Most of those things they'll look at, and they will then help you start creating a plan. So at that point then, within 24 to 32 hours after they've met with you, they will then give you a range of pricing. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes. So I'm just going to let that cliffhanger hang out there because everybody wants to know how much is this going to cost, and I will tell you. The other thing we do is much of what I've been talking about is decluttering and preparing your home for your sale so that you can get the maximum amount of money that you can from your home. And right now the market is really hot. So having your home being staged properly will help your home sell quickly. We customize a floor plan in your new home at Twilliger. We organize and sort and pack. So one of the things I haven't talked about is when we're managing your move and all the logistics of it, we're packing. We're packing up your home. We have been trained to pack up valuables and glass, all of those things that you don't want broken. If, hopefully it doesn't happen, but it does happen. If something does break, we are responsible for replacing it. That is our responsibility. But when we're ready to move, then we're doing the logistics with the movers. You don't have to do it. And we're making sure that we have tied into the timeline of your new home with Twilliger. We've done the timeline with the movers. So when you get to the other side and you're in your forever home, we have now unpacked your home. So when you get there at the end of the day, this is our secret sauce. Are you ready? The secret sauce of Soft Landing Solutions for Seniors is this. When you get to your new home at Twilliger, your bed is set up and made. It has your sheets on it, your pillows on it. It is ready for you to sleep in familiar. Someone asked me if we put Auntie's candy on it, and we haven't done that yet, but we do make sure that your home and your bedroom is ready for you. Why do we do that? Because moving for anybody, whether you're the one picking it up or not, there's a lot of anxiety and stress, and we want you to settle in your new home and have truly that soft landing. The other thing that we do is your kitchen is set up where the plates are going to be, where the silverware is. the coffee pot, the teapot, it's ready for you in the morning when you get up. Because when you wake up, you might go, okay, where am I? Oh yeah, I'm at Twilliger, but you're not ready to see people yet. So you go into your new kitchen, you get your cup of coffee, you sit in your living room, and you kind of just ponder where you're at. So it gives you a very peaceful way of waking up before you meet your neighbors. Document gathering. If you are needing to have a list of everything that's donated for insurance purposes, for tax purposes, we will do that for you as well. Arranging shipments and storage, we can do that as well. So let's say, and I don't know if all of you are in the Oregon territory or not, but let's say somebody out there in the audience today lives in Arizona or lives in New York. Because we are part of the NASM organization, we have other NASM certified move managers that we work with. So we would contact, say in New York, and we would put you together with them. They would do the first part of your move. They would do the logistics of the first part of your move. We would be in connection with them, and then we would take the second part. We would unpack, we would make sure the space plan is correct. We would work with Twilliger. We would work with everybody so that when you flew in and ready to go to your new forever home, everything is set up. So there's no disconnect, regardless of whether you're in New York or Arizona or Alaska or Hawaii. We have a network that allows us to help you. Our goal at Soft Landings and all of our team is make it effortless and as stress-free of a move as we possibly can. I thank you, everybody. And Teresa, I think we're ready for questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Phyllis. Let's see.
Stop sharing. There we go.
Scrolling back up through the questions. Let's see, we did have one comment when you were talking about books, just a comment really also see what the Friends of the Library will take. Sounds like they're not taking donations right now, but that would be another option.
Right.
We have a question about costs.
Okay, I was going to get to costs and I kind of slid by that. So we're a little different than some of our competitors out there. When we go through and do that consultation, that's the first thing that you all would be going through is the consultation. After that consultation, we actually give a low and a high bid on that. And the reason that we do it, it's not done necessarily by hourly. And the reason we do that is because if there is a budget that you're trying to stay within, most likely we're going to be able to help you stay there. So we have a low bid and we can help you stay where your budget is by determining what we do and what maybe your friends, family, church, people that you know, love, and trust might be able to help you with. Those kinds of items that they would help you with would be what we call the soft and the hard items, clothing, books, anything that's not breakable. If they're going to help you pack those things up, and we do supply boxes, so even if they're going to help you, we will supply the boxes for you. They can help you do that. That can, if we're not doing it, we're not going to charge for it. But at the higher end, it could be that for some reason, you just want everything to be done, just taken care of. Maybe you don't have family, maybe your family doesn't live here. It's just not possible and you don't feel that you have the strength and wherewithal that you want to start picking up, because all of our people have to at least be able to lift 25 pounds. The higher end would tell you we're doing it all. So we give you a range so that you have a choice of where you want to be. Now, I will say this, and this just happened about 3 weeks ago, and I kind of alluded to it earlier. We had gone in, we had given our low high bid, it had been agreed upon, and then a week later, we got a call that said, oh, I forgot, I have a storage. I haven't looked at it in 15 years. This is a true story. I haven't looked at it in 15 years. we probably need to go through that story. Well, at that point, we're renegotiating. But before we renegotiate, we're going to go to that storage with you, and we're going to look at what's in there. Because it might be that there's something in there that you really forgot about, but you'd like to take it with you. So we're going to look at the whole picture with you. So we're very flexible in terms of the high and the low of it, so that you can get what you want. You will always know how much you're going to be paying for. That answer that question?
See, Mark. I think so. I mean, obviously it will, if it's going to be different if someone has a 1-bedroom condo versus a 7-bedroom
Absolutely.
home. And so
Absolutely.
another question, which I think you may kind of have answered, is can you use certain aspects of the service, but not all?
Absolutely. So let's say that you just want somebody to help you declutter because you're 5 years out. That's what we'll help you do. Let's say that you've been thinking for a long time that you would like to donate or sell some of your pieces that you have in your home. We can help you with that. Maybe you have family that can do all the packing. We do recommend that you don't have them pack your glass and fragile things though, because liability wise, if we're helping you move from your home estate to your forever home at Twilliger, we're responsible for the glass if it breaks. So we do ask and request that you allow us to pack up anything that's really breakable. Because if it is breakable, we will replace it. And if we've packed it, we know how it's been packed. So we are responsible for that. But yes, any part of that process can be limited out. And we can also work with you throughout the years as you are getting ready for this. So it doesn't have to be one and all. We can work with you. That's part of the goals and the plans that you have when you talk to your lead manager. This is how I'd like to see it go. This is how I'd like to, it's going to take me 2 years. This is what I think I can emotionally handle. This is what I think I can physically handle. We'll work with you on that. Our goal is to make this move for you as stress-free as possible. So you're the one that gets to give us guidance on what you want, and then we gently make that happen for you.
Thank you, Phyllis. So a couple people have asked average costs. I mean, are we talking like $250 or are we talking $25,000?
So I have a kind of a standard, and this may or may not be a small home, but an average 3,500 square foot home that is not hoarded, not highly cluttered. And I'll talk about that in just a minute because I think that's important, but just an average home that's been lived in and does have some items. If we have done a home like that with help from family, as low as 1,500 and as high as 5,500. So that's kind of the range. If we're going to partner with you and your families, you can get it down lower, but if you're not, it's going to be up on that higher end. That's kind of what our average is right now.
Perfect. That gives us a good idea. Let's see, we have a question. This is pretty specific, so we might set up a one-on-one if it's too much, but
Okay.
I do family genealogy and have lots of files and some objects I'd like to take all with me. Any advice?
I would have to ask more questions. Teresa, if you can get that person's name, I would be happy to answer those off screen because there's too many elements to that particular question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I do have that. Thank you.
Okay, great.
And then what about helping with a senior who would like to stay in their home but just needs to declutter? Like, you know, for instance, they're going to stay home and not come to a community like Twilliger.
Perfectly fine. We help them as well.
Perfect.
Yep.
We don't hold it against you if you want to stay in your home.
Nope, we don't. Aging in place. I started out in home care, and so I'm a big advocate for aging in place. If you have the capacity to do it, it's the best way to go.
Let's see, how do you start when you do not have a place to go? Where to store those boxes?
I'm not sure I quite understand the question.
Monica, are you able to chime in and
Uh, I'm gotta find my picture and unmute myself.
I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. Hi, Monica.
Oh, yeah, hi. Yeah, I'm interested in the decluttering. I
Okay.
don't know where to put, I'm not going anywhere yet. I'd like to eventually. I've not found the right place to go to. So
Okay.
in the meantime, as I'm decluttering, where do I store those things that I would take with me?
Do you have a garage?
I do, but it gets wet in the wintertime.
Oh, it does. Do you have a basement?
It's full.
It's so I would say we would declutter the basement first and make room in your basement so that as you start working in the rooms upstairs, you have a place for those to go.
Okay, that
Because we
sounds
don't want to have boxes in your living space.
good.
It's
I
not
don't
safe.
want there either, yeah.
Yeah. And when you get to the place where you do find where you want to go, we will have movers. They're big men with big muscles that can go down those stairs and get those things to bring them up. Our goal would be to help you find loving homes and that there's very little downstairs that you really have, you know, they're the things that you love the most, the things that you treasure the most. Those are the things that we would be putting downstairs.
Right.
Everything else, we would try and help you find new homes that would love those items.
The hardest part of that is I love it all.
I know. And we have ways to help you. Let me ask this question with everybody being up. And I'm actually going to ask the guys this question first, because it seems like you guys always get skipped out of. So for the guys in the audience, how many of you remember your first car that you ever bought? Okay. Now, next thing, when you bought your second car, did you keep it? Hands showing. Did you keep it as well as the second car? I don't see any hands. Do you see any hands? Okay. Did you trade it in for the new car? Okay, I see one hand. Did you sell it and then buy the second car? Well, Rick, what did you do? You didn't raise your hand to anything. Yes, Rick Sullivan. You have to unmute. Unmute yourself. Teresa, can you unmute him?
I unmuted him.
There you go. What did you do, Rick?
The simple truth is I can't remember.
Oh,
Well,
well, and that's a good answer too. But my point of that was the first car for anybody is always one you remember.
Mm.
I had a 1968 black Beetle with red leather interior. I remember it. But when I was through with it, because I was upgrading to something that was going to make my life more enjoyable, I had no problem selling it and moving on to the next thing. Remember the slide that I had that said, it's better to look through the front window of your car than the rear view mirror?
Yeah.
Monica, for the things that you love the most, that just make your heart flutter, we would find a solution for you to have some way of having a picture or something of that so that you could still look at that and still have that memory. So we have ways that you get to choose, by the way. You're in control. We just help give you solutions that you're going to choose to get rid of some of those things that really have meant so much to you. Because if you're getting ready to stay there, you want to keep those things, but some of those things you don't need all of it. You might need just some of it, just enough to let you remember. Does that answer your question?
Pretty much.
Good.
Still
Does that
hard.
make you feel better? It is hard. It's really hard, but we work gently because we know how hard it is. So yeah.
Thank you. Let's see, a couple questions about the valuable art. Do you use appraisers for those types of items?
Yeah, so I've mentioned Sotheby's several times. We have some people from Sotheby's that can look. It depends on what the item is. We work with O Gallery, which is local. They have several people both within their organization and outside of their organization. So if there are valuable things that need to be identified for price and cost, then we will search that out on your behalf. But then again, as I mentioned earlier, we'll handle the logistics of finding that person, but the negotiations is going to be between you or your family and them. We'll just handle the negotiations of how we get it from one place to the other and how we get you connected.
So we do have a few people on the call who do not live in Portland. So there's a question about, if you're on the East Coast, when you split the jobs to another company, how do you separate costs, and can the other company figure size of objects versus space, etc.?
Yes, yes, and yes. So when we are working with another company, we are closely engaged with them so that you have a very smooth transition. On both sides, what will happen is the company on the East Coast will give you a price for packing up, doing the space plan, and every company is different, so the costs are all different, but they will give you an estimate on whatever their process is that you can accept. Remember that by the time you get to our side, we're going to see the space plan. We're going to know the number of boxes that they're actually shipping. We're going to know when they're shipping, and we will be able, the trucking costs will already have been taken care of because that's done on the east side of your home, that where you're at. So on our side, what you're going to be looking at is we're going to be unpacking. We're going to be organizing your furniture, your kitchen. We're going to be hanging your art if the community allows us to do that. Some communities have us work with their maintenance people, then we'll handle the logistics of doing that as well. A lot of pictures will go back and forth. A lot of conversations will go back and forth. So that you know exactly what your before costs are and what your after costs are. And that's why we go through NASM, because those people have already been vetted for what they do. And if they have a certification that's similar to ours, we know they've been trained to do that, and we can work very well with them. Should go very smoothly. Do they feel like they got their question answered? Whoever answered that?
Jim and Rita.
Yes, except I wanted to also ask the question, do you pick the distant NASM company, or do we get it off the web?
You can do both, but typically what I do or what we do is I will look to see who is closest in your area. I will kind of do some research on them myself to make sure of what certifications. And then I will send that, email that to you or call you, whatever way you want to have the information. So you can then look at them locally.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Let's see. I think that's all the questions except Phyllis, if you wouldn't mind putting your contact information back up for a few moments. And then anybody else who has questions, if you want to either go ahead and speak up or put it in the chat box, either way is.
I'll put it in the chat box.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Any other questions? I definitely would encourage you to check out. Oh, Cheryl, you have a question? Well, let me. There we go. Hold on. Let me see if I can unmute you, or you can unmute yourself.
I get it.
There we go.
There you go.
It's not a question, it's encouragement. I've been through this. It was the most freeing thing I ever did in my life. And it was so nice to clean things out that I didn't realize we really were either not using any longer or certainly weren't going to be in the future. And the more of it that went down the driveway and away, the lighter I felt every moment.
Yeah.
And I like my things. So I understand, I totally understand where Monica is, that you hate to let things go. It's what we think we're going to let go are the things we're looking at every day. That's really not the case. You do get to keep the things you love. You let
That's
go
right.
of the things you don't need.
Right. And as I said, we find ways for those memories to stay with you. Sometimes there are a lot of softwares that we use. Sometimes it's the pictures that we put together for you in a book format. There's a lot of ways that we can help you, Monica, on that. Yeah.
Okay.
Kathy, I know you mentioned you used a move manager for your parents. Do you have any additional comments or?
Sure. So I'm an older gal, and it's the thing I'm most proud of. My parents were house rich and, didn't have a lot of resources at the time. And so I found the senior move manager for them in their little town in Indiana. And Mary Jo Avery was a saint, went to the same high school as my mom. And it was the best money I've ever spent in my entire life. It made it so much easier, and it was a long story, but they were going to move into it. They were advised to go to a small unit and wait for a larger one to come open, that it was better to move into the community sooner rather than later, and to only move, to the location once and not go to an apartment in between, things like that, which was really good advice. And a bigger apartment became available, and they were able to adjust to the larger size for us and just make it as smooth as it could be. And when I got my parents down to Indianapolis, every place I took my mom, she would tell people, "My children are putting me in the home." Right in front of me, of course. And within 3 weeks, when my sister was visiting from Germany, she said, "Well, let's have dinner in the club." So anyway, it was extremely traumatic. My parents had been in their home for many, many decades, and large family, yours, mine, and ours, with 8 kids, and it was nasty, but we got them in safely, and they just loved their new community once they got over all the trauma. So I'm a big fan, and like I said, it's the thing I'm proudest of, being alpha daughter and whatnot. I feel really good about having worked with a really helpful senior move manager.
Thank you so much, Kathy.
Yeah.
Thomas.
I have a comment and a question. When we started to think about this process, for another reason, we were thinking of moving, and our realtor came and said, "You need to think in the frame of getting move ready." And she said that it's going to happen for one reason or another. So if you're thinking of moving into, say, a $1,500 or 1,500 square foot apartment, downsize your house to live in that with those possessions. And that's what's been in our back of our mind. It's taken us some time to do it on our own, but we are dwindling down. The question I have is that our backup plan was to find a place to move to, move everything we wanted to take with us, and then have a estate agent come in and sell all the contents that are left. Can you comment on that concept? Are we missing something or overlooking something with that idea?
Well, I would say that what you might not be taking into consideration is timing. Timing is everything. And with the real estate market being what it is, if you wait too long and your house is not in a presentable manner, or if it needs some repairs, you can't move as quickly as you might want to move. And so it becomes down to timing. Decluttering your home now and getting ready to do what you see in the future, you ought to start doing it now. And if it's taking you some time just because of physical or emotional or whatever it is, that's where we can help you. And that's where we can work with you on your goals, regardless of where you're going to go, so that you can have what you're looking for. You can reach the goals that you want and feel good about it. The things that tend to stop people is when they look around their beautiful home, and I can see some things in the back of you. What am I seeing in the back of you? I see a bunch of bottles.
That's our kitchen.
Okay,
spices
so,
and things like that, yeah.
okay, so those are the kinds, interestingly, those spices could be the thing that's going to stop you from moving. Because you look at that and you go, oh my gosh, look at all, I use all of that. How am I going to move into a smaller kitchen and not have that? Well, that's why we do space planning. Because we take all of that into consideration. Do we need to do something a little bit different? Does the location that you're going to be moving into, do they do remodel that can accommodate that? So those are all the things that we do with you, as we're moving forward. Because a lot of organizations do remodel to meet your needs. And clearly you like to cook. So that's going to be important to you. So we would take that into consideration. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think that timing is an issue.
It is. It is. And
The
if
realtor told us that it would probably take us a year or 2 years to go through our collection. Well,
Yeah.
we're in it 2 years and we got a lot more to do.
So the only thing I would say to that is if you'd like to make that 2 years less and maybe make it 1 year or less, hiring a move manager can make that possible for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
So
Olivia, I see.
there we go.
I would
Hi.
like to second what Cheryl said a few minutes ago. 5 years ago, my husband and I, well, actually 6 years ago, my husband and I decided to move out of our house on the East Coast. It was a ranch house, about 3,000 square feet. We had a pool house. We had a separate garage with a big attic, and we had a basement. And we'd lived there for 20 years. And we're collectors of all sorts of things. And we worked out of the home. So we both had home offices and millions of books because we were both in the book publishing business. So you can imagine what was there. And I thought, well, I can do this. And I did do it. And I sold things on eBay and Nextdoor. And I went to an auction gallery and sold a lot of our better stuff there and donated books to the library and dried out paint cans in the driveway so that they could ultimately go in the garbage. I just spent probably half a year of that year on that project. And so, yes, of course, we didn't have to hire anyone, but I would never do that again. And even now, after living in Portland for 5 years in a much smaller house, we've still accumulated a lot of stuff. And I would absolutely recommend to anyone trying to do it themselves at our age that it's just not worth the money. If you're moving into Terwilliger, you can afford to have somebody help you with this job. So that's just my thoughts.
Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you, Olivia. It looks like we have one last question. Then I mean, I'd love to just keep chatting. So if you want to stay on, but I know that people have plans. What is your opinion on estate sales?
If you're working with an estate sale organization or person to really vet them and make sure that they know what they're doing. There are a lot of people out there that deal in antiques, but they're not estate sale people. So if you have valuable items that need to be at an estate sale, even if you don't use us and you want to call me, I would be happy to be a resource for you. Because, everybody does everything at a different time and thought process. Soft Landings in general is here to be a resource for seniors because let's face it, nobody ever mapped out how we're supposed to do all of this. So we have people in our CRM and that we've made relationships with. So I would be happy if you don't know someone that you can trust, give us a call and we'll give you the resource, even if you don't use us.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Phyllis.